Hey kids, what's going on? Hey Visionaries, we are coming to you live from Cuatro Cinco Studios in my mom's basement. We have something that is probably more rare than unicorn hair here. It is a female in crypto, like a real live human female in crypto. What's up, Brittany?
What's up, X-Ray? It's good to be here. What up, guys? Hope you guys are tuning in. Enjoy the show today. But thanks for having me on, X-Ray. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you'll allow me, ever since I saw your name, I know I needed to do this on live stream. I have to say, it's Brittany Bitz.
It's perfect. That's exactly right, man.
Every time I see your name, I hear that right in my ear. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Oh I'm glad you caught on to that immediately without me having to say anything. That was the whole purpose. That was the whole point.
I did, and putting the Z on it makes you so easy to find on social media too, because there's a trillion Brittany's, one of them being Spears, that like has basically ruined the name Brittany for everyone else forever, unless they want to be like Brittany, and then that's great, right? But,
well, it's funny that you mention it, because if you look over here, right, you can see my logo. It's a butterfly. The Britney Spears logo is actually a butterfly too, but it kind of works because it's like a BB, for Britney Bitz. So kind of took a little rip there. No big deal.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And we just got flooded with some people here. Welcome. We got Red Squirrel. He's always hanging out. Harmonic Hexagon, David Lee. David Seeley, who is a trucker friend of mine from back in the day. Welcome to the herd. And it says, must be fake. There are no women in crypto. That's what I say. I get a lot of like private messages from pretty faced females that are like, hi, I don't mean to bother you, but I have looked into this project and I wish for your opinion. And I'm like, that's crazy. That's the fourth woman, like hot girl, that sent me that same message today.
It's the new age Nigerian prince scams, right?
I try not to let it get to my head, but I mean, all these chicks are clearly wanting a piece of me, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If we're really, really lucky and we hit enough viewers, we will get the bots, the sex website bots, and that's always flattering to me, because no, you've made it. When the bots come after you, you've made it. We got Functional Crypto. She's a dude. Welcome anyway. Here we go. And then people just giving love back and forth. Francis Powell's in the house. Functional Crypto. Let me run over here to my YouTube really quickly and make sure that you guys all have wrenches. Yes, we have pure wrenches in the chat. It's way easier to give everyone a wrench than to actually try and moderate your chat, because then it's like a contest to see who can ban and block people the fastest. Bobby Hexelrod says, you're pretty hot, Max. I appreciate that. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to internalize that. I need that. So Brittany, I just found out about you this last week. I've been seeing you on hanging out with Rags to Riches and Crypto Heartbeat. And you were so good at asking a really great question and sitting back. And they were giving better answers than I've ever heard them explain crypto. And I listen to these guys all the time. Sometimes I'm sick of listening to them. And you pulled out a lot of good stuff. And then I also watched your interview with Corey. And I didn't know anything about Corey at all until your interview. And I really got like his backstory, his origin story. So you got a really good a skill and a talent definitely for interviewing people and sitting back and letting them come out and share themselves. And I just wanted to give you props on that. You're really good at that. I can see you becoming very, very big when the bull market returns and people start looking into crypto again.
Yeah,
it'll just go insane.
No, I really do appreciate that. Like sometimes I second guess myself with the questions that I ask. I'm like, oh man, am I sounding stupid or was that a good question? Because sometimes people will take a moment, pause, and like think about what they're gonna say, and then I'm like, oh man, did I phrase it? And then they'll go into it. I'm like, all right, cool, it was good, it was good.
Yeah,
So
just let it go.
I do appreciate it. Yeah, I've actually been talking to Rags to Riches and Crypto Heartbeat for a number of months now, and we actually did that same interview more or less back in May of this year. And I was waiting for a really good time to post it because I was under the assumption, hey, Pulse is going to launch any day back then. So I was like, I'll wait till Pulse launches and I'll throw that video up or whatnot. And of course, fast forward a couple of months and Pulse didn't launch yet. And so I hit him up and we had been talking back and forth. And I was like, hey, should I still launch that video? And he goes, I don't know. Let's just redo it at this point. You know, a lot of things have changed. So I was happy that they were, you know, still cool about it. And yeah, they're a bunch of really cool guys. Really cool guys. Corey too, actually. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Corey's always doing the interviewing, so you're learning about the guests, right? Like he had Mark Wild, the guy that wrote the second crypto revolution, that's on Amazon. So all you guys go to Amazon and order that book or get the Kindle version. Let's push that up to like #1 in several categories. But he was like, he like peels back the layer. And then of course, when he interviewed BitBoy, I was like, oh, I kind of liked some things about BitBoy before, but when BitBoy, he just seemed to be more authentic and a little more real instead of just like, oh, I'm here on a channel to shill something and make money, which is, yeah, that's YouTube. That's YouTube crypto in a nutshell, is like, click my link, buy this coin, buy this hot alt coin, right? So
yeah. BitBoy is actually pretty cool. He actually kind of gave me my start in YouTube too. Well, not like two, but he pretty much more or less gave me my start in YouTube. I started YouTube like in January of 2021, and you know, I was doing pretty decently, more or less because we were still in the upwards trajectory, I suppose. And yeah, it wasn't really going anywhere. And I stopped making videos. I don't only put out like 4 or 5, and then I drew this huge painting, this huge canvas of a little Rosie the Riveter with her arm up, and it said "In Blockchain We Trust" and whatnot. And I met up with BitBoy in July of that year, and I gave him the picture, and I was like, "Hey man, buy this from me for like, you know, 2,500 in ETH or something." And he was like, "Yeah, go over here and talk to him, and we'll get you set up or whatnot." And I looked at him again, and I was like, you know what, man, I just give me a job and I'll give you this painting. I got a lot of good marketable skills. I can help out a lot. And he was like, I'll do you one better. You got a YouTube? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, cool. Why don't I just take the painting and, you know, I'll shout you out on the live stream tomorrow. And he did. And I went from like 38 subs to 305 minutes. So I gotta give him, you know, some props. He's a pretty down to earth dude.
that's awesome. That's always awesome when you meet someone in real life that is just cool and kind and real like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, what about your origin story? I mean, I'm guessing you're around 23, 24. You're born in the 90s, a 90s kid. And,
that's such a compliment. I'm 32. Thank you, though.
You have a way better energy than most of the 32-year-olds that I know. So that looks great. So you actually remember the internet showing up sometime in high school, right?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, no. Sure. With you, it would have been grade school.
It was grade school, yeah, more or less. But I remember the AOL chat rooms, the dial-up, yeah, for sure.
And no one at the school could keep you guys away from finding the dark, seedy corners of the internet, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I was around for all of that. I mean, like I said, AOL chat rooms and the whole the ASL, age, sex, location. I mean, even as a young kid, man, we were doing a bunch of stuff that we probably shouldn't have been doing at that age, but we were doing it nonetheless, right?
It's usually just trolling. That's where you learn to troll, is back in the first chat rooms.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like getting into crypto though, I want to say it was around the same time as you, I believe, like 2014, 2015-ish. And I wasn't really like into crypto per se. It was more or less I had a buddy, and he was talking about this magical internet money called Bitcoin, and he was like, man, you gotta buy some. And he was buying up all these ant miners and like all this other like just stuff. And he was like, you gotta, give me some money and I'll invest it for you and we'll make a ton of money. And I was like, man, I just want my friend back. Every time I come over here to hang out, all you do is talk about Bitcoin, and I'm tired of it, man. Like, I don't understand this. You don't explain it very well. And of course, he drank a lot. So it all just sounded like drunk ramblings of a crazy person talking about magical internet money. And of course, I didn't want to listen until like 2016 when, end of 2016, early 2017, all of a sudden he starts, I think it was early 2017, because I had watched him lose a bunch of money when Mt. Gox went down. I watched him lose a bunch of money when Cripsy went down. And man, you would have thought, like getting the call. I remember I was with him. He got a call from his significant other, and she was all like, it's down, the money's gone. And he like fell to the floor, man. You would have thought it was a multi-billion-dollar billionaire, millionaire, whatever, losing all his money. And he was just distraught. And anyway, didn't want to start listening to him until all of a sudden, I believe it was sometime early to mid 2017. And then it really ramped up in the bull market at the end of 2017. And he started buying up like houses and cars and guns and, silver and gold and all this stuff. And all of a sudden it's like, oh man,
it's real. It's real.
You're telling me all this stuff was real and I should have listened and I could be where you're at right now, man. I'm stupid. So, yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, he was trying to recruit you into the cult of Bitcoin back then. He was probably just a couple points shy of getting a free toaster, right?
Yeah.
Because once you fall down this rabbit hole, I bet you've got friends that also just want to come hang out with you. And you're probably talking about crypto, right?
Oh, man. I can't tell you how many people, like family members, have crawled out of the woodwork. I remember, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before that, but like Dogecoin went on like a crazy run, right? And I remember like family members calling me up and friends calling me up like, oh, you're a millionaire now. I was like, I got like maybe 1,000 Dogecoin. What are you talking about? Like I don't invest in Doge. Like I have it because I think I fauceted it or one of those websites where you like clicked and it like doubled it or whatever, like one of those gambling sites or whatnot. I can't even remember, man. I was like, I don't invest in that. But yeah, every time something would pump, they'd call me up and like, oh, I just want to let you know, I want a blue Corvette. Like if you can give me a blue Corvette, I'm like, bro, what are you talking about?
But now that we're in the middle of the bear market, are they dropping off like cans of soup at your front door? They're like doing welfare checks on you. Because I have people in my hometown all the time. They're like, I heard that Bitcoin went bankrupt and I just wanted to know if you're doing okay. And I'm like, well, I lost an insane amount of money, but I'm all right. Like, mostly thanks to Hex, where you can at least see the interest piling up every day. And you've been through a couple of these 4-year cycles where you're like, this is just where it is. This is just what it is, right?
It'll be all right. Yeah. And you're beating inflation being in Hex. So it's, I mean, no, I can't say anybody's checking in on me and whatnot, but I did have like my dad call me up about a week ago and be like, oh, are you okay from the SBF thing or
Oh yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? I don't put my stuff on exchanges like that. And he's like, oh, I just wanted to make sure because like this sounds like a whole bunch of scary stuff is happening in crypto world right now. And I'm like, well, if you're not stupid, it's not affecting you. No offense to anybody that got wrecked. I feel for you, I do, but like that's just where we're at. So
yeah. Crypto's hard. I mean, everyone I know, I've given out literally millions of dollars of Bitcoin back in the day when I went down the rabbit hole and I was driving out in the oil fields. I would help people set up Bitcoin wallets on their phones. I would try to get them to run a full node back in the day because we believed that was our duty, was to run a full node, right? And so I gave all these people this Bitcoin and almost all of it's gone. Almost all of it's lost. Because they didn't keep the same phone, they didn't write down their passwords or seed phrases. It's all just gone. And so crypto is hard for most people. And when someone shows up and says, I'll take care of it for you, it's really tempting for the norm. Like most people will be like, oh, good. Yes, thank you. And they just hand them their money. So it's understandable. It just sucks.
It does suck. It does suck. I didn't mean to be offensive or anything. I was just like, man, it really has, when you look at it as a whole, like kind of set the broader crypto space back a while, because people like my dad who were interested in coming into crypto on their own volition are now all of a sudden second guessing that thought process and being like, well, maybe it's not such a good idea. And of course, you can sit there and hold people's hands through the whole onboarding process. But as soon as you get there with them, they're like, okay, well, what can I do with it now? And I'm like, well, that's the beauty of it. Now you gotta figure out your own path, right? Like, and it's interesting. That's all I can say about it.
It is. And we were talking about this in the green room because we want to make crypto practical and useful. So people actually use it. But to do that without trusting a middleman is the tricky part, right? Because it's like, how do you create a backup so that you can make sure, how do you make sure that your keys in your crypto actually go to who you want when you die?
Yeah.
And how do you do that with technology versus you're hoping a human being doesn't rip you off, which is normally the case. When you had someone millions of dollars, their brain and their scruples are gone.
It's true. And for those, I guess, just kind of meeting me or finding out who I am or whatnot, like I actually came from the BSB community, and I won't get into like the whole like Craig or whatnot, right? But yeah, like over there in that community, it's a stark contrast from every other community out there. Whereas they're talking about in the broader crypto space, it's not your keys, not your coins, that type of thing. And then
like on the bottom of this chain right here, I got not your keys, not your teas. Scroll
there
underneath.
There you go. And it's a little bit different in that community. They're like, oh man, if your car gets stolen, you should have the right to your car. Same should apply to your coins. But then you start getting into like the technical aspects of how to make that happen and whatnot. And it's not everybody agrees with that. So it is what it is. But I think giving more utility to the coins or the tokens and NFTs and that sort of thing, that should be like what we push for. There's a really cool guy in the BSB space that talks about the tokenization of NFTs. His name is Jack Liu, one of the people over there that I really admire. And he talks about like in the future and moving forward into the blockchain space, we're gonna tokenize everything. So where you could go and buy an NFT for, I actually make this jewelry, right? I make wire wrap jewelry. So we could NFT this piece of jewelry, and then if you buy the NFT, like it gets shipped to you, and you get that physical piece or something like that, So kind of moving forward with commerce. I mean, something like that seems crazy and outlandish, but I think any way that we can further provide utility into the NFTs is going to be a good thing, and that'll be what helps drive adoption in the future.
Well, you saw the socks that they had, where the socks were hundreds of thousands of dollars for the socks. Because they were limited and they actually had a physical thing. And you remember the Casascius Coins back in the day, where you could break the seal and it actually had the private key inside.
Yeah.
Like, if you could figure out a way to do a foolproof private key on your jewelry or on your items, that would be insane, because it would literally be the private key with it, a physical item.
There was also, I was looking into this company too. There's like a company on Solana they're still there if I'm not mistaken, called Blank Souls. I actually met up with them in Miami during the Bitcoin 2022 convention in Miami this year in April, and I got to meet with them. And they're a company called Blank Souls on Solana, and they were creating shoes, but like tokenizing shoes into NFTs. So buy the NFT, get the shoes kind of thing. And I thought that was super interesting, because I was like, yeah, what if you get a limited edition pair of shoes? I don't know how it works specifically, but I think it would be really interesting if you like bought an NFT and like somehow inside the NFT, like you made your own pair of shoes, like what size, what color, and then it like minted the NFT for you like that. So it's like a blank NFT, but then you design the shoe and then the shoe shows up on the NFT, and then you can decide to sell that NFT later and with the shoes with it or something. I don't know, but you kind of get what I'm saying, I suppose.
I like it a lot, because I mean, if you go back in time, Satoshi solved the Byzantine generals problem, which is basically, how do you make sure people don't screw each other when you're, all like relying on the same system. And he did that with, the hash power and the proof of work, right?
Right.
Now we still have this huge problem looming over us, which is the Oracle problem. And when you want to take something from the physical world and you want to put it on the blockchain, how do you do that without shitty human beings in the middle, either making an error because we're human, or making an error because, money's involved. Yeah. And so the person that figures out a way to fix the Oracle problem is the next insane, like, that's the next evolution,
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I thought it was interesting. You were talking about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were talking about like Hedron. Is that yeah, you were talking about the smart contracts over there, and I was like, yeah, that should be something that should be, pushed for, because that could be something that helps implement all of this tokenization in the future, so
yeah, so as long as it stays on blockchain and it's all code, we can trust it, unless it gets, as long as it's bug free, we can trust the math and trust the code. But like I said, if you start to put land titles, insurance, real estate on the blockchain, we still can't do that without these shitty animals that we call humans, right?
Well, I mean, yes and no, right? I think there's like a gray area, because if you look at it and you're like, oh, well, yeah, I can put this information on the blockchain, but would I want to? Because, if somebody knew where to look, they could find that information and obviously extort it for personal gains. But like on Ethereum, you've got ZK rollups that you could bundle that up into, right? I know, like in the BSV ecosystem, they've got zero knowledge proofs. So it's like, rolling up information and encrypting it so that it couldn't be viewed, but still accessible on the blockchain, to the point where it's like, I can prove that the information is there without letting you see what information is there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like you can prove. Yeah, I heard a long podcast explaining how you can show something, but not the actual answers. Right. It's yeah. So that kind of stuff's really exciting, and hopefully will be used for more privacy, because at the end of the day, public blockchains are great, but if I wanted to pay you, then I have to make sure I have to set up a brand new wallet. I have to run the coins through one or two exchanges so that it's hard to trace them back to my other wallets. Otherwise, if I just send something from my wallet to you, you can see everything in that wallet and probably trace some of the sister wallets, right? And that's not practical at all in today's society. If you want to, send money, that's way too much personal information that you're giving up because of the public blockchain.
Yeah, and I understand the concerns there too. You know what I mean? Like, but in the same token, I'm like, I guess I look at it a little bit differently. I'm like, man, I don't really care if people see that I spent $40. I gave my buddy $40 for mowing my lawn in Bitcoin, or whatever crypto I sent him, or you know what I'm saying? Sure. But for a lot of people, that information is totally like, they don't want that out. It's like, you have no reason. And I think that, puts us a very strong point on the more need for privacy. But then you start talking privacy and people start going to the extreme and talking about anonymity and whatnot. And my personal view on it is, everybody should have the right to privacy, but not anonymity. And I know that's not like something that like everybody agrees with or whatnot. And I'm totally cool with that. But it's like, if it's everything is anonymous, then nothing can be culpable, right? So like in the modern day world, under the current judicial systems, you have the right to privacy until you've committed a crime, and at which point there can be warrants, you know, to get out and access your information and prove that you did or didn't commit a crime. And I think that's part of the problem in the cryptocurrency space right now, is that we've pushed so far, so hard for anonymity that it makes it somewhat difficult for, you know, people like SBF to be held accountable. It's like, oh, what happened to the 10, what was it, 10 milli, 10 billy, whatever? It's like, oh, I don't know. Well, you know, if everything wasn't super anonymous or whatnot, then the courts could go in there and figure out exactly where it went and hold him culpable for those actions. And so that's why I say there's a huge difference between privacy and anonymity. And so you have the right to privacy, not so much anonymity. That, in my personal opinion, you know?
Right. And I really like the way that you laid that out very, very logically and gave some really good examples. So I want to know, so if the person that we call Satoshi Nakamoto, without anonymity, would he have been able to launch Bitcoin?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I know that's kind of going against like what I just said, but I know a bunch of people who, you know, I used to really wonder why Satoshi originally did everything anonymously, but then after watching some of my friends like launch their own chains and whatnot, and seeing like what they were going through, it was like, at first they were super okay with being upfront and honest about who they were and what they were doing, and then all of a sudden everything starts gaining traction and they're like, oh man, like I don't know if I feel super safe anymore with everybody having that so much information about me. And it's not because I'm doing anything malicious, but you know, with the way the laws and everything are right now, like I'm super kind of afraid. If they want to come get me, they can find me. But you know, and I think Satoshi kind of felt like the same way. He had enough forethought in the very beginning to decide, hey, if everybody knows who I am, then somebody can come up behind me, figure out where I am, dox me, you know, whatever, and come put a gun to my head and try to steal all the coins that I'm holding. And so I think that was his way in the very beginning of like kind of protecting himself to start this system. Because who would have invested in Bitcoin if they knew like such and such percent of the supply was held by one guy, you know?
Right. Well, and that's the beauty of talking to someone who has like actually sits and thinks about these things. It's not to push back or anything. It's just to add nuance, because you obviously don't see the world in black and white. Like you obviously notice that there's different types of grays and different circumstances require different things. I appreciate that. That's really, really nice to talk to somebody that's not just black or white, you know, right or wrong, you know. It's refreshing for sure. We've got Rags here. He says Rags is fake too. Torrens in the house. David Lee, grab the horns. Mexicans. Grab the horns. I'm not sure what he's referring to, but grab the horns. Leroy C4. If you guys see any of my memes that I post on Twitter, they are all from my meme dealer, Leroy C4. He sent me a lot of really, really funny, inappropriate ones lately. That I haven't been able to retweet. So just find me something. It doesn't have to be family, just something like a soft R. Give me some soft R's. All right. Oh, no. Hex Hodl's in the house. Hey y'all. And then Hex Hodl says sexes are not crypto. And that's the crazy thing, is like people know so little about crypto, they don't even understand that there's a difference between centralized and decentralized. They don't understand that there's what custody is, right? So there's so much to do, so much information and education to give out, that it's, you know, it's kind of overwhelming sometimes to try and like start these conversations.
Well, imagine like with the, it's actually too much information, whereas people can come up with any argument that they want to come with. Somebody could say this is great, right? And then go and find supporting information on some whack job website on the internet that supports their argument, and then they'll post that and spread that until enough people believe it. And
hang on 1 second. You were lagging there for just 1 second. Someone downloaded an app for Taco Bell in your building. So just go back 2 sentences and start again, please.
I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm actually on Starlink, so sometimes it gets glitchy like that, right?
Well, wait, you're on Starlink?
Yeah.
I could never pull this off on my Starlink. This
Yeah,
is really good for Starlink.
yeah, I'm getting I don't know, gosh. Starlink works pretty freaking well. I also live out in like the middle of nowhere though, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm not trying to dox you, but now I'm picturing you in a van down by the river. Okay, the Saturday Night Live skit.
Okay, it's not doing so great right now. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm getting like 22 meg. It's not great. Like sometimes it'll get up to like 200 megabytes per second downloads and like 20 upload, but
I'm really impressed. But you were saying that when it comes to it educating people, I think you were talking about the attention span of people.
It's actually I actually think there's people have access to too much information in today's day and age, right? Somebody could go out and say the sky is green and then go and find some whack job website on the internet that supports their, like hypothesis that the sky is actually green, and then put that out there and get enough people to believe it. And I think that's why we've got all these flat earthers, and now you know what I'm saying, man. And I think the same is true with crypto. It's like anybody can kind of form a hypothesis about random stuff, make a YouTube channel, and then start spewing that knowledge or whatever, and get people to believe it. And obviously, like not you or anybody in the Hex community, but there's definitely a lot of people out there in the broader crypto space that are just gonna come up with random stuff just to get views and either get people to be afraid or get people to shill some crap project. And
and even when you're trying to be as correct and give out as accurate information as possible, there's so much stuff happening so quickly in crypto. Like for instance, I made a bunch of videos on the Texan token, and I was wrong about some very fundamental tokenomics.
Oh no!
And so they would reach out and be like, "Hey, that's not how it works," or "That's not true." Now, luckily, I was wrong to the bad. Like when they corrected me, it made the tokenomics even better.
Right.
So I was underselling it. But even when you're trying to stay on top of the BSV community or the Hex community, it moves really fast, and you're gonna mess up. And the best you can do is apologize and try to correct yourself and move forward, right?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely mess up a lot. I do, and sometimes I think I get too big for my britches, and I'll say something. I'm like, you know what? I really didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I should have been putting that out there, But that's all you can do is learn. And I think as long as people are honest about it, like we all make mistakes, but there are definitely like malicious actors out there purposefully, like, with doing so with the intent to harm, not like somebody like you and I who may slip up and just be like, say something that was slightly incorrect or whatnot. You know what I mean? So I think there's a difference there for sure.
Yeah. And another problem with crypto is that the bad guys have all the marketing budget. Like if you're going to hear about a crap coin, then the chances are the person that told you about it was paid a lot of money to tell you about it, and it's probably not going to help you out, And the good guys, the good projects that are trying to put things together and build communities organically, it's like, we're like going door to door like Jehovah's Witnesses in the Hex community with postcards, and people are like, what are you doing? We're like,
trying to give you financial freedom.
Yeah, listen. It's like I'm trying to earn my toaster. I'm 3 points from a toaster. If I get 3 more people to next week's meeting, then I get to go from a blue tie to a red tie. This is a big deal. Right. Just listen to me.
It's hard.
And then when you tell people that you want to help them, they definitely don't trust you.
Yeah.
Right. So I got this goal of helping 1 million families, but when I meet people anywhere, and I'm like, hey, I am into crypto, and I actually know enough that I can probably help you out financially over the next 2 to 7 years based on what I know. They're like, first of all, they're like, no. And second of all, they're like, okay, if he could help me, why would he? Like, what's he getting out of it?
Right. Yeah. People are always looking for ulterior motives, man. It sucks. But it sucks even more that they're not, those same people aren't looking at the people shilling crap coins and making them get wrecked. They're not sitting there wondering, like, what are they getting out of this?
Yeah, why is he wanting me to margin trade so hard? I'm just like, what's going on here?
Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I've had a cough for 4 months. When I first got sick, I was like, all right, we live in a new COVID society, and I wore a plastic suit to the store and stayed inside and drank liquids. But like after 3 months, I just started calling it COVID-23 and just rolling with it. I'm like, you know what? Like eventually I may stop coughing. Until then, I'm just gonna get on with my life. So yeah, bless you. We got Hexkin Chief from New Zealand. Here's my Hex tribe. What's up? Adam from Vibra Finance. Hey. T-Bird, what's up, fam? HP Morgan, what up, family? And we got Swizzle Sticks in the house. Instead of Elder Hex-Ray Vision, it's Hexagon Hex-Ray Vision. Yeah. It used to be Elder. We just line them up and baptize them. Most are not even aware or interested in crypto. Yeah, that's true. Like a lot of people don't have a reason to care. And, we laugh about way back in the day, we watched that clip from the Daily Show or whatever, where she's like, is the app the internet? And what is the email? And how does the email talk to my computer? But the truth is we all start there. We all start with like, what's a node? What's a blockchain? Why am I paying these fees? Who are they going to? Right.
Yeah, I was talking with Famous and Hexastanny Dylan the other day on my first live stream. And at one point I asked him, I can't remember what the question was specifically, but it was like, kind of what do you think the space is going to look like going forward? And he said something very similar. He was all like, man, back in the early days of the internet, nobody expected, that to really go anywhere. But of course, everything that happened, especially with them, putting off some of the laws that they were trying to implement to tax the internet and whatnot, really led the way for companies like Amazon to succeed and thrive later on. And, he was like, I kind of vision where we were in the internet in the early 2000s as where we are in cryptocurrencies right now. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. It's about the same. Yeah, you're right, bro, for sure.
Yeah, I remember hearing a story about the first email that was sent. It was like it took a team of nerds in New York and a team of nerds in California trying to send one email over what was, the internet back then. And they it took like a week for them to get the packets and stuff moved.
Oh no.
and now your grandma that knows nothing about packets and networks will type something weird like I heard Bitcoin went bankrupt. Are you okay? And then they'll swipe their thumb and send an email.
Yep.
And so there's so much room for improvement on the user experience and our apps we have right now. But then again, like there's not a lot of very rich, powerful people that are interested in making this easy for people to use, right?
No,
because it really does take away a lot of systemic and century-old power and authority that people are used to following, right?
Yeah, like when we were in the back room before everything started, before the show started and whatnot, we were talking about, how I believe you said you were brought into crypto because of the thought of financial freedoms and like being your own bank and all these things. I'm sure most of us in crypto were brought into cryptocurrency and started off with Bitcoin in that manner. And it's very unfortunate that, we really have to make better cryptocurrencies now, like Hex and everything, because Bitcoin failed. And why did it fail? Well, it was because the banks of this world saw what Bitcoin was capable of and said, nah. What do you mean Bitcoin could be capable of facilitating more transactions in a day than Visa or MasterCard? And they got together with their homeboys and created Blockstream to dumb down BTC. And then now we got this dumbed down version of BTC. We originally wouldn't have needed Ethereum. Vitalik crying over his World of Warcraft characters and yada, 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 and creating Ethereum because we needed smart contracts. Bitcoin and originally was capable of smart contract functionalities. There were some opcodes and some things taken out, but it was all capable. Everything's been dumbed down. Everything's been dumbed down. And, of course, we could get into like the big block versus small block debate and this, that, and the other thing. Mm-hmm. But how many other cryptocurrencies out there have been punished because the like we'll just call them the 1%, decided that we shouldn't have access to this technology. Why do you think they hate Richard Hart so much and they want Richard Hart to go away? That's just like the same thing, you know?
Yeah. Imagine that you owned the monopoly on, like, say, seashells, right, in the world, and everyone in the world had this superstition that if you didn't gather a certain amount of seashells and take them to a certain location each year, then your kids would, not pass the next grade at school.
Right.
Like, you would never want people to realize that seashells have nothing to do with school or your kids. You would want to perpetrate that lie and that belief forever.
Yeah.
Because it's just free money. It's free power.
No, most people coming into crypto can't be bothered to learn the difference between centralized finance and decentralized finance, let alone go into the history of why everything is the way that it is these days. And that's something that I'm super interested in. And personally, it's just like the history of how we got to where we are now. And if anybody's watching, I definitely tell you to check out, what the New York trade agreement was and the Hong Kong agreement. Those are some big ones to check out right there. And kind of go down the rabbit hole, because then you start realizing that Blockstream has done all these really crappy things that have forever hindered not just BTC's growth, but like growth in the future, right, of the space in general. So I mean, and a lot of the big blockers and small blockers yelling at each other back and forth will sit there, especially the big blockers. They'll be like, well, it's not all that bad. The miners agreed to SegWit, right? And I'm like, yeah, well, in the beginning, it was like 73% of miners did not want SegWit and did not agree to SegWit. It wasn't until the Hong Kong agreement, the New York trade agreement, that all that crap got pushed through, because there was a promise of a change from a 1 megabyte block size limit on BTC to a 2.5 megabyte block size limit. And so they were coerced into just getting all the miners to agree to push SegWit through. And then as soon as it was pushed through, all of a sudden they were all like, you know what, actually the code is too fragile. We can't do this. So we're not going to do it. And then of course we had the split and BCH and all this other crap we don't need to get into, but yeah, all those people are still in power, and crypto at large is a very incestuous place where everybody else rubs everybody's back. I mean, CZ tied into the SBF, and then of course you've got everybody else. I mean, shoot, did you know that the CEO of Kraken, God, what was his name? Jesse Powell, was involved in Mt. Gox and started creating Kraken a month before Mt. Gox went down? You can't tell me he didn't know shit was about to go down. And all those guys are rubbing each other's backs, and all those guys are the same guys telling everybody else, Richard Hart is a fraud, a fake, a fraudster. Don't listen to him. Well, why don't they want you to listen to him? Because they don't want you to get free. They don't want you to be they don't want you to have money. They want you to stay in your lane and stay broke and stay poor and continue taking your money from you, right? Like, that's what they want.
Preach, Sister Brittany.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a long tangent there, but
no, but it's true. I mean, a lot of people that are in crypto right now joined during the 2017 wave. That's where they got their first taste of like, oh crap, this is crazy, right? But if you go back, like you said, to what was happening right around there, and you had people like Conrad Zen was part of the Bitcoin Alliance or Foundation, whatever they call their group, and Richard Hart was obviously very, very invested and trying to get that working as best as possible. So he was actually there when those agreements were going down, and saw the rug pull of the agreements and what they said was going to happen. And a block size increase is on Satoshi's roadmap. The 21 million isn't on Satoshi's roadmap.
Yeah.
Right? And how many people that know about Bitcoin and know about the 21 million limit, how many of them understand that we're not going to hit close to that or get the last meaningful amount mined till 2140?
Yeah.
So 2140, a lot of people believe that Bitcoin has already been mined. Like that the 21 million exist. They don't even understand that this is like a promise that you're going to wait till your grandkids or your great grandkids they're going to find out whether or not that holds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole vision of Satoshi was always that BTC would scale, right? And like it was supposed, I believe it was Hal Finney that suggested to Satoshi that the 1 megabyte block size limit be implemented because in the early days of the network, so to speak, it was really prone to DDoS attacks and whatnot because there weren't enough miners on the system at that time to secure SHA-256, right? So it was like put a 1 megabyte block size limit in there. It'll help secure it until such time that more miners are on the network, and as more and more miners come on the network, it'll become more and more secure. And so the plan was that later on, the 1 megabyte block limit would be increased in accordance with how many miners are on the network. And so it was supposed to go up and up and up and up. But that's, of course, not what we saw happen. So.
Yeah, it goes so far back. But honestly, the government and the banks, they never had to actually cripple Bitcoin itself. They just had to cripple the community. They just had to pull things like Mt. Gox or the Bitcoin Cash debate. All they have to do is get people to fight a little bit, and nothing gets done, and it just sets us back.
Yeah, they don't really need to make, like, everybody's really worried about like new laws and regulations and everything. It's like, yeah, they might make some small things or whatever, but like they're not going to go after making a crap ton new laws and stuff right now. They might say they will, but I'd be really shocked if they came out and did some like huge overhaul on the space right now. Most of the laws and regulations that are already in place cover anything malicious that may be happening within our space right now. So why would they need to go and make new laws and regulations? I mean, I know the SBF and the whole collapse and whatnot, not just with that, but like with BlockFi and everything, like those are bad things. But I gotta wonder, like, what are they trying to keep us from figuring out or finding right now, man? I feel like it's all like a huge distraction. Like I said earlier in the video, I feel like it's set the space back a little bit. Anybody that was interested in coming into crypto, they're not interested in coming in anymore. Meanwhile, I know it's not easy to get people to come on the shows and hit like and subscribe and everything else right now because of the bear market, but this is the time historically, all the cool shit that happens right now. It's getting made in the bear markets. So like right now is the time to be in here figuring all this stuff out, learning about hex, learning about everything, and educating yourself now when nobody else is looking or paying attention.
Yeah, and we have so many people building projects and protocols right now for Pulsechain and for Fiat on ramps. It's like we look crazy because we're in this like calm ocean on our surfboard, and we're paddling like crazy, but the other people don't see the wave. We don't even see it. We just know it's coming. So we're paddling like crazy, and everyone else is like, "What are you doing?" Like they've taken their boards, they've gone home, and we're just paddling like mad until our arms are ready to fall off because we know what's coming, and it makes us look crazy to everyone else. I should say crazier.
You're a cult.
To everyone else.
We're a cult, right? We're a cult. Yes. We don't know what the hell we're talking about. Don't listen to us. Like it's funny to me, man. It's just funny to me at this point. Like all the people that are actually frauds and fakes are the ones getting listened to. Meanwhile, people like you and everybody else here in the Hex community telling everybody this is how you become financially free, and you're labeled a cult member, and Richard Hart is the Messiah. So
yeah,
it just is what it is.
We got Bobby Hexel says the media has done a great job of painting crypto as the boogeyman. I used to try and educate, but even smart people are stuck on stupid where crypto is concerned. It's exhausting. And that's true. Like, it's actually easier to teach someone that knows nothing about crypto how to set up a wallet and stake than someone that thinks they know about crypto already. They're like, look, I've got my Doge coins. I've got all these meme coins. Let's go. And it's like, I wish you good luck. But I've seen this fail 99.9% of the time. I mean, during the bull run, everyone gets rich, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes, it's a give or take. Somebody else has to lose in order for you to win,
Yeah. Hexal says Bitcoin is beta coin, proof of concept, but buying it at any level now is like buying MySpace stonk. there's I could relate to that. But had I not learned so much about crypto in Bitcoin, I wouldn't understand how special the newer stuff is that's coming out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate all the stuff I learned in Bitcoin. I probably will never buy another Bitcoin for the rest of my life. But at the same time, we all start somewhere. So I appreciate that. It says they can't stop Hexaco, Bobby. Well said. Yeah, Hexaco. Let's talk about Hexaco. This next bull run, a lot of us are wanting to buy some land throughout the world and make little Hexacos, almost like little embassies or satellites. Because there's one thing that Hexicans love, and that's hanging out with Hexicans. If you've ever gone to a Hex meetup, wear earplugs, because everyone is yelling excitedly at the top of their lungs about how much they love Bitcoin and how much they sack for Pulse and what's going on, and did you get on this sacrifice, and have you heard what Fiat's doing, and have you heard what it's insane. Like it's insane. So that would be really cool to have a bunch of places for people to visit, even if they didn't live there. Totally. Everyone should follow Brittany on Twitter at CryptoBitz.
So that was actually my old Twitter handle. It's actually at Brittany Bitz now, just like at Brittany Bitz. I used to be called Crypto Bitz when I first started, and then I changed it to Brittany Bitz. I did a bit of rebranding, mostly just for there were some financial reasons. They wanted like $5,000 for the cryptobits.com domain website. And I was like, nah, bunk that. I was just going to rebrand real quick. And then some of the handles had been taken on some other sites. So I was like, nah, I'll just redo it.
All right. Yeah. So Brittany Bitz on Twitter. And then, of course, your YouTube channel is Brittany Bitz.
Yep. Brittany Bitz Podcast. Yep.
Brittany Bitz Podcast. There we go. Preach. Yeah. So these guys are also, we're getting all riled up when you're talking about the point of crypto is to get rid of middlemen, right?
Yeah.
And this last wave we saw middlemen pretend to be crypto and just trash everybody and do one heck of a psyop, I think. Thanks, about to change that. There we go. Yeah, Hex meetups are best. Having one tonight. Oh, that's awesome.
See, that's now awesome. How cool would it be to have organize a Hex meetup and then create an NFT where people who purchased that NFT had exclusive access to whatever meetup Hex meetup there was going on. You had to your purchase of the NFT would actually be your ticket into the meetup itself. That's the type of tokenization that I want to see in the future, right?
Oh, well, and there have been some NFT get-togethers with the ape people. They've had ape parties and this and that. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything else about that because you might actually be giving away a bunch of my plans for the future.
I'm sorry.
You're spoiling and you don't even know it. So, Sex, what about Pulsebitcoin? Have you checked out the Pulsebitcoin protocol?
No, I haven't checked that out yet.
Okay.
I know about Hex, but I'm still learning about everything going on, being built for Pulse right now. So I'm still kind of a little bit of baby. You got to give me a little, but definitely look into it.
Yeah. Well, and think about it. There's so much stuff going on. There's so many streamers. Really there's so much content in a bear market that you almost have to take cliff notes and be trading cliff notes with 5 or 6 other people just to try and stay up on it. And then there's entire projects that I've completely missed that I'll find out about later and be like, oh, that's amazing. That's great. I wish I had, more than 24 hours in a day.
Right.
I would have got to it. And then and when I was back driving a truck, I would listen to everything on 2X or most of the stuff on 2X. So I would get 20 hours of podcasts and YouTube in a day. And now I'm realizing that's not normal. People usually don't obsess unless they're in crypto. They have crypto has a very obsessive kind of actually pretty intelligent forward-looking, almost we love to gamble. We like to guess what's going to happen in the future, right? We're chasing that dopamine. But at the same time, there's a lot of like scary smart people in crypto that you run into, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like talking to Rain Man.
For sure, man. You're one of them. I've really enjoyed the stream and the chat so far today, man. But I actually got to get ready to go here soon.
We just hit that. All right. Well, let me go over really quick. We've got my scavenger hunt where we're going to be revealing more words. We have about 5 words revealed right now. And Brittany has been gracious enough to join us. And your goal, I believe, was 2,500 subs. Is that correct?
Yep.
So we want, once she hits 2,500 subs, we'll have her come back on here, or maybe I'll probably also be jumping on your channel and hanging out, because I definitely want to talk more. But once we hit that,
the conversation.
Yeah, go to her channel, subscribe, and check out. She's got some great interviews that you guys love, and we will definitely be chatting some more in the future. Thank you so much for coming. No Shave Tail Pulsechain. We're just going to keep this raccoon-looking thing going for the next 3 to 6 months, I think. That's my guess. 3 to 6 months, but I'm wrong on all my timelines.
Hashtag 2 weeks.
Yeah, hashtag 2 weeks. Great stream. Everyone loves you being here. Thank you so much. I'm gonna quickly throw on some music because we are gonna do the awkward wave goodbye. Have you seen this? Okay, so we're gonna turn on a little bit of music, and I just stare into the camera and give it the most awkward wave that you can muster. All right? Here we go. Thank you so much. That's a wrap. We love you guys. We'll see you guys later. Visionaires out.